Guys, what's up, AnimeX here, and today, I'm bringing you guys a new what if, and sorry if my voice sounds a little weird. I'm not exactly sick, but I don't know. So, today I decided the what if we're gonna be discussing is a different type of what if than what's already on the channel. That one is a little bit, different, because that is a Naruto what if. This what if is actually going to be a My Hero Academia what if. So it's going to be a little bit different. So basically, as the title says, we're going to be discussing what if Midoriya had his own quirk. And I'm going to give that quirk that he has energy fields. So it's kind of like an ability of Android 17's. See, because with his ability, he can make an energy ball that he can float in, he can put others in. He can make multiple at once if he throws them at enemies. He can make them very powerful. He can make some of them small or some of them big. I would say maybe the biggest one he could make is one probably the same size as the thing they used in Bleach. If you watch Bleach, they use that weird crystal ball thing. And that's about his limit. But he can only make 2 of those at once. And a lot of the time he just puts them around his hands or his legs so he can float and fly. But I'm just going to say that he can fly normally for this sake. So, let's say that Izuku is pretty popular growing up because he has a pretty powerful quirk. And Bakugo sees him more as like a rival than like a little nerd. And so his life is a lot more better just in that aspect alone. So, he's pretty confident in himself because his quirk is pretty powerful. And he can use it without people really noticing because he can make his energy fields as small as like a marble. Maybe even like half the size of a marble. And so he can use his quirk pretty discreetly, which is pretty powerful, so that way villains can't know and stuff. So, let's say he's in high school and he's coming home and the sludge bone comes, but he can just put a force field around himself, so when All Might actually does come, he actually doesn't really need help. He could have detained the villain himself. But there is like one little problem with his quirk. It's not exactly like the best for fighting. It's more of like a defensive, helping people quirk. It's not really like best suited for like fighting off. Like it can use to be fought off, but like its main purpose would be like to defend or like save people. Cause like I feel like that'd be its main purpose. Cause I just feel like that's what it would be meant for. But, I mean, he's pretty confident himself. Instead of jumping on All Might, since he can just fly himself, he chases right after All Might. Because, he wants to know if his idol believes in him. And, he's pretty confident himself, but he just wants to make sure that even his idol thinks he can become a pretty good hero. And All Might says, yeah, I think you could probably become a pretty great hero with a quirk so strong. But it's a good thing that you did inherit such a strong quirk, young Midoriya, he would say. Otherwise, you might not have been so lucky, because there are other people out there that aren't. So, Izuku would start training very hard for the UA exam. Very excited, and he cannot wait. This is an opportunity for a lifetime, he keeps saying to himself, to push himself harder and harder. And All Might actually does give him his personal phone number and asks, and eventually Izuku just runs out of things to do. So he asked All Might if there's like any training wise he's got any things for. So All Might tells him to meet him at the beach, and he actually does end up clearing the beach, but a lot faster than he can because he can just grab it all in his force fields. And since his force fields are pretty powerful, he can get that done pretty easily. Because, he's pretty powerful at this point. And so, I don't really want to give him, like, ultimate power right off the bat, but right now, he's pretty on a league of his own. He's, like, basically, like, a Todoroki level right now. So we skip to the entrance exam, and he's actually studying a little bit more in canon. So let's say, instead of getting, like, somewhere in the 65%, let's say he gets, like, a 70 to 75%. So he flies it, he passes, and it's pretty good. It's above average, because the UA is pretty hard. So, he enters into UA, and we're going to move on to the quirk test. So Zuko, I would think, would probably, I'm just going to give him third, and that would make Baku pretty mad, but he's been his rival, so he's his kid, so he's more like, he doesn't really get really that mad. He's just like, okay, well, I'll beat him next time. He says what he thinks about it. So, yeah. And so he doesn't really get that mad. He just thinks about it like, I'll do better next time. I'll beat him next time. So, yeah. So, sadly, Mineta does get kicked out. No, actually, I think I might have the invisible girl get kicked out, because she doesn't really seem to be, like, that powerful, and her quirk only really turns her invisible, so I'm not really, you guys can comment if she might actually be really strong, but I'm just gonna say that she gets kicked out, because at least Mineta got, like, the best on long jumps, or, like, not long jumps, but standing side hops, so I give him some credit. So, yeah, I would say that she gets kicked out. Mineta is, like, just really happy because he's barely made it. But, Ida and Ochako and Deku are still pretty decent friends. I would say a little bit more so than in canon, because Deku's obviously a little more powerful and more, not gonna say honorable, but, like, more, I would say more respected by others for his strength. So, yeah. And after that, they go to the hero training with All Might, and same matchups as usual. Normally, I would be, like, making some other random matchup generators, but I'm honestly still pretty small right now. I just don't really have the time for that. So, we're just gonna get the same stuff as canon. Hopefully, you guys still like it, though. But, there'll actually be a little bit of a difference, because Deku's quirk is actually really greatly suited to fend off Bakugo's, simply because it's, like, literally made to protect him. So if he literally wanted to, he could just put force fields around Bakugo's hands, and then the explosion would literally just conceal itself. And then he could just make some smaller spheres to attack Bakugo. And since he can just make a partial sphere in front of himself to stay protected from, like, regular hits, like kicks and such, not non-quirk related things, because they'd be covered in his own force field. Not to mention, he could just, use the force fields and then pin him to a wall and then capture him. And then he'd be out that way. So, sadly, I don't really see any way for Team Bakugo to win this. Unless he actually grew a pair and used teamwork, which we all know he'd never do. So, yeah. He's a little bit salty, but he's got that same mindset. He's like, I'm going to become the number one hero no matter what. I'm going to win, even if that stupid brat Deku is in my way. So, yeah. Now, before I end this, I'm going to go to the USJ arc. So, things actually go quite a little bit differently for the USJ arc. One, Deku's not being, like, completely useless and he doesn't get hurt. But his way of getting them off the boat and all is actually just, he actually has a way. He sees a portal, and he thinks it's a test, and so he uses his force field and around the portal, and so the portal just nothing gets through it, except for the no move. the Nomu actually can punch through it, while Shigaraki can actually decay it. Can't, I meant, because his power, I don't know if it works on, like, energy, but, like, Izuku's power is, like, more energy. And so, yeah. And so, most of the lower level villains don't really get anything. Like, they can't really get through because Deku's stopping them. So, yeah, that's pretty powerful. And so, nothing really gets through. So, Aizawa actually just fights the Nomu at first. And Deku is a little bit tired from having to keep that thing up the entire time. But he actually protects Aizawa in the case of, like, he stops from, like, the Nomu, like, beating him up a lot. So he stops most of the injuries happening from Eraserhead or Aizawa. And so by the time All Might actually shows up, he can actually be there to nullify the Nomu's quirk. Which means that All Might actually doesn't really have to push himself at all. And since he doesn't have to push himself, he actually has more power left over of One for All. So he actually, that'll play a bigger part later on in the story. And, yeah. So that's about what happens for that. And it's starting to get a pretty long video, so I'm going to let you guys go. As always, Anime Pro, signing off.